Let me ask you something that might just stop you in your tracks, a question so direct, so piercing, that it could reveal everything about why she's slipping away or already gone. When was the last time she looked at you the way she used to? I mean really looked at you, the kind of look that makes your chest tighten because you know she sees no one else but you. That spark in her eyes, that urgency in her touch, that unshakable certainty that you're the only man who matters. When did it fade? If it's been longer than you'd like to admit, then listen closely. What I'm about to share isn't just relationship advice. This is the raw, unfiltered truth about why women pull away and how to flip the script entirely. Most men never recover once they sense her drifting. They beg, they plead, they double down on attention, hoping kindness will rekindle what's already fading. And guess what? That's exactly why they lose her forever. But there's another way that doesn't involve games or manipulation, but instead creates a seismic shift in how she perceives you. A shift so powerful that when you implement it, she won't just come back. She'll start worrying that she's losing you. This isn't about hollow pickup lines or cheap tricks designed to hack her emotions. No, we're diving deeper than that. We're talking about awakening something primal within her, an attraction rooted not in fleeting charm, but in how you carry yourself, how you command respect, and most importantly, how little you seem to need her validation. Are you ready to stop being the man she tolerates and become the man she can't ignore? Then don't move, don't even blink, because what comes next will change everything. The psychology of absence, why familiarity breeds indifference. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever truly missed something that was always there? The air you breathe every second, you take it for granted. The shoes you wear daily, they blend into the background noise of your life. No, the things you miss are the ones temporarily gone. The friend who moved away. The favorite restaurant that closed down. The freedom you had before responsibility took over. Absence creates longing. It's human nature. Now apply this to relationships. If you're always available, always waiting, always responding instantly, always orbiting her world, what happens? You become predictable, forgettable, background noise. Women, like all people, are drawn to what is scarce, to what demands effort, to what isn't easily obtained. If she knows you'll drop everything for her, she has no reason to chase. If she knows you'll answer her texts within seconds, she'll never wonder what you're doing. And if she never wonders, she never invests. So, here's the million-dollar question. What's the solution? Become a man who is occupied with something greater than her, not as a tactic, but as a way of life. A man consumed by his mission, his career, his fitness, his growth is magnetic by default. He doesn't need her attention, he commands it. When you're busy building something meaningful, you naturally become less available. Paradoxically, that's when she starts paying attention. This isn't manipulation, it's self-respect. Ask yourself, if you disappeared for a week, would she notice? If the answer is no, then you've made yourself too available. You've conditioned her to take you for granted. But if the answer is yes, if she'd start reaching out, wondering where you are, then you've done something right. You've positioned yourself as a man who isn't desperate for her validation. And that's the key. Women don't worry about men who are desperate. They worry about men who are disciplined. Men who have boundaries, men who don't rearrange their lives for a woman's fleeting attention, because those are the men who could walk away. And that possibility, that uncertainty is what keeps her engaged. The push-pull method triggering her emotional investment. Here's the uncomfortable truth lurking beneath every unsatisfying relationship, every unreciprocated effort, every moment spent waiting for her to finally see your worth. You get what you tolerate. This isn't about ultimatums or petty power struggles. It's about the fundamental law of human psychology. People only invest in what they believe could be lost. Think about it. When was the last time you truly appreciated something that had no possibility of disappearing? Your health? Probably not until it faltered. Your time? Likely not until you ran out of it. That's the paradox of value. We recognize it most acutely in its absence. Now apply this to relationships. If she believes consciously or not that you will always be there regardless of how she treats you, then you have silently communicated that your presence has no cost. And when something has no cost, it's human nature to take it for granted. But the moment she senses you have standards, that you're capable of leaving, everything changes. Suddenly, your attention isn't given, your loyalty isn't guaranteed. And that uncertainty, that's where respect is born. This isn't manipulation. Manipulation is pretending you'll walk away when you know you won't. What I'm describing is far more profound, the genuine willingness to lose her rather than lose yourself. Because a man who tolerates disrespect, indifference, or inconsistency from a woman isn't being kind. He's being weak. And weakness isn't attractive, it's pitiable. Let's go deeper. Why does the willingness to walk away hold such power? Because it reveals two non-negotiable truths about you. You have options, not just with other women, but with your own life. You're not defined by her approval. You enforce boundaries. You don't beg for the bare minimum. You expect reciprocity or you exit. This is why the men who struggle most in relationships are those who cling the hardest. Their desperation broadcasts a silent plea. I need you more than you need me. And nothing kills attraction faster than that imbalance. It doesn't come with words, yet it echoes loudly in every interaction: the tone of voice, the overthinking of messages, the anxiety behind gestures. That subtle but unmistakable energy of dependence sends a signal that's almost instinctively off-putting, even if the other person cares. Attraction, real and lasting attraction, thrives on balance. It flourishes when both individuals feel like they're choosing each other freely, not out of necessity, obligation, or fear of being alone. When one person becomes emotionally dependent too quickly, the relationship shifts into a gravitational pull where the stronger force ends up bearing the weight of the other's emotional world. This kind of imbalance rarely starts with grand declarations or dramatic scenes. Often it begins subtly through constant checking in, seeking reassurance, interpreting silence as rejection, or treating every conversation as a referendum on the relationship itself. These behaviors may stem from genuine care, but when layered with insecurity, they begin to smother rather than strengthen the bond. The irony is that these men usually believe they're showing love through their intensity. They think their willingness to give everything proves how much they care. But what often gets lost in translation is the difference between devotion and dependency. One builds connection, the other creates pressure. And nothing kills attraction faster than that imbalance. Because at its core, attraction is not just physical, it's energetic. It flows best when both people are rooted in themselves, confident in their own value, and free to choose the relationship without needing it to define them. When someone appears to be emotionally starved, it triggers discomfort, not desire. The brain subconsciously registers this as instability, and attraction begins to wane, even if the heart still feels some attachment. Now contrast this with a man who maintains his dignity, who knows his worth isn't tied to her whims. He doesn't beg for attention, nor does he try to control the narrative of the relationship. He understands that love is not a performance, nor is it a transaction. His presence is steady, grounded, and self-assured. He doesn't need to prove anything, he simply is. This man doesn't chase endlessly. He doesn't twist himself into whatever shape he thinks she wants him to be. He has interests outside of the relationship. He has boundaries. He has space. And most importantly, he has peace within himself. He knows that while love is beautiful, it should never cost him his sense of self. He doesn't threaten to leave, he simply could. That quiet confidence shifts the entire dynamic. Because when someone walks away easily, it doesn't mean they don't care, it means they know they have options. More importantly, it signals that they respect themselves enough to walk away from something that no longer serves them. This isn't arrogance or coldness, it's self-respect wrapped in clarity. It's knowing that love should enhance life, not consume it. When a woman senses this kind of energy, it naturally recalibrates the way she sees the relationship. She begins to realize that his affection is not guaranteed, it's earned by mutual respect, alignment, and effort. And suddenly, the power dynamic changes. Not because he manipulates it, but because he refuses to lose himself in it. This doesn't mean he's emotionally detached or unfeeling. Quite the opposite. He loves deeply, but only from a place of fullness, not emptiness. He gives generously, but never at the expense of his own well-being. He listens attentively, but not because he's afraid of losing her, rather because he values the connection. This kind of man doesn't need to demand respect, he commands it effortlessly. He doesn't need to explain his worth, he lives it. And perhaps most importantly, he doesn't confuse love with neediness. Neediness shrinks you. Confidence expands you. The key distinction lies in internal versus external validation. The clinging man seeks validation from the other person constantly. His mood, self-worth, and motivation depend on how much attention or affection he receives. Over time, this creates a cycle of emotional turbulence: highs when things go well, lows when they don't. It's exhausting for both parties and ultimately unsustainable. The centered man, however, draws validation from within. He knows who he is, independent of the relationship. Whether he's single or partnered, his sense of purpose remains intact. He continues building his life, pursuing his goals, nurturing his friendships, and growing spiritually and emotionally. Love enhances his journey, but it doesn't dictate it. This kind of energy is magnetic, not because he's trying to attract anyone, but because authenticity always draws people in. People want to be around someone who is whole, not someone who needs them to feel whole. So what can men do to cultivate this kind of inner strength? First, reframe your understanding of love. Real love doesn't require you to give up your independence. In fact, it requires the opposite. It asks you to bring your fullest self into the relationship, not just your strengths, but your shadows, your truths, your dreams. It asks you to show up as a partner, not as a project looking for completion. Second, build your foundation outside of the relationship. Invest in your passions, your health, your personal growth, and your community. Develop skills, explore new hobbies, travel if you can, read books that challenge your thinking, and engage in conversations that expand your worldview. The more fulfilled you are on your own, the less pressure you'll place on a romantic relationship to make you feel complete. Third, practice emotional sovereignty. This means taking full responsibility for your feelings, reactions, and decisions. Instead of blaming others for how you feel, ask yourself, what am I bringing into this moment? Am I reacting from a place of fear or responding from a place of clarity? Emotional sovereignty allows you to navigate conflict, disappointment, and uncertainty without collapsing inward or lashing outward. Fourth, understand that walking away is not failure, it's freedom. If a relationship becomes one-sided, draining, or toxic, choosing yourself is not selfish. It's the ultimate act of self-respect. You deserve to be in a relationship that lifts you up, not drags you down. And sometimes the courage to walk away is what opens the door to a healthier, more aligned connection in the future. Finally, remember that confidence is not about perfection. It's about acceptance. Accepting your flaws, your past mistakes, your current limitations, and still choosing to move forward with integrity and purpose. True confidence is not loud or boastful. It's quiet, grounded, and unwavering. So whether you're in a relationship now or preparing for one in the future, ask yourself, are you clinging or are you standing tall? Are you broadcasting desperation or are you radiating peace? Are you giving from scarcity or are you offering from abundance? Because the truth is, you were never meant to lose yourself in love. You were meant to find yourself through it. And when you step into that truth, something shifts, not just in how others see you, but in how you see yourself. You stop chasing. You stop begging. You stop twisting. And instead, you begin to live fully, love consciously, and lead from a place of quiet strength. That is the essence of true masculinity. That is the power of knowing your worth. And that is the kind of energy that doesn't just attract, it inspires. Emotional discipline, the hallmark of true masculinity. In today's world, men are sold a dangerous lie. That vulnerability means emotional incontinence, that to feel deeply is to wear your instability like a badge of honor. But here's the brutal truth. Women don't fall in love with chaos. They fall in love with a man who can withstand it. Consider this biological reality. For millions of years, women's survival depended on their ability to select men who could keep their heads when others lost theirs. That primal wiring hasn't disappeared, it's simply taken new forms. When she tests you with silence, when she flirts with others in your presence, when she pushes to see how you react, she's not playing games. She's asking one fundamental question: will this man collapse when life gets difficult? Your emotional responses are answering that question every single day. To master emotional discipline, focus on 3 tiers. Delay reaction. When she says something provocative, ignores you, or tries to provoke you, the man who snaps immediately has already lost. But the man who pauses, letting the silence stretch just a beat too long, demonstrates choice. He shows that his behavior isn't dictated by her whims, and that's power. Refuse validation through conflict. Most men can't resist the bait. She says something dismissive, they argue. She withholds affection, they plead. This is emotional panhandling. the disciplined man walks away not in anger, not as punishment, but because he recognizes that true validation comes from within. Transmute emotion into action. The average man feels slighted and sends a paragraph of emotional text. The exceptional man channels that sting into his work, his fitness, his purpose. One becomes weaker through expression, the other becomes stronger through sublimation. Guess which one she respects. If you've been the safe option, the guy she runs to when no one else is around, the one whose calls she answers only when it's convenient, then it's time to make a change. Next time she pushes, next time she's distant, next time your instincts scream to react, pause and ask yourself one question: is what I'm about to do going to make her respect me more or less? That single moment of restraint will do more for your relationships than a lifetime of generic advice. But here's the kicker: respect isn't given, it's earned. It doesn't come from titles, age, or how loud you speak. It comes from consistency, integrity, and the way you carry yourself in every interaction. And before you can earn the respect of others, you must first earn your own. That means being honest with yourself about where you've fallen short, where you've allowed disrespect to become the norm, and what habits or patterns have kept you from showing up as the person you truly want to be. So tell me, what reaction have you been having that's been costing you respect this whole time? Is it the way you shrink in certain rooms? Or maybe it's the habit of agreeing when you really want to say no. Perhaps it's staying silent when you should speak up, or reacting emotionally instead of responding thoughtfully. Whatever it is, acknowledge it. Own it. Then commit right here, right now to doing something different. If you're serious about flipping the script, then commit to making a change starting today. Not tomorrow, not next week, today. Small shifts in mindset lead to massive transformations over time. Start by filling your life with purpose. Purpose isn't always found in grand gestures. Sometimes it's built in the quiet moments of discipline, courage, and intentionality. Find what matters to you, not what matters to everyone else, and build your days around that. Enforce your boundaries like your peace of mind depends on it, because it does. You teach people how to treat you by how you respond to their actions. If you let people walk all over you without consequence, they'll keep walking. But if you stand firm, calmly and clearly, you send a message that you are not to be taken for granted. Demonstrate through action that your value isn't up for negotiation. Don't wait for someone else to validate your worth, live it daily. Show up for yourself. Invest in your growth. Surround yourself with people who elevate you rather than drain you. Walk away from situations, relationships, and environments that diminish your energy or compromise your values. Because the moment you prove to yourself that you're willing to walk away from what doesn't serve you, you'll never again feel trapped by circumstance or other people's expectations. You'll realize that real power doesn't come from control or manipulation. It comes from self-respect and the confidence to choose yourself every single time. And here's the truth they don't always tell you. The most powerful negotiating position in any area of life is the ability to walk away and mean it. That's when the balance of power shifts. That's when people start listening. That's when doors open that you didn't even know existed. Now go do something that matters. Do it not for anyone else but for yourself. For the version of you that refuses to settle, that dares to rise, and that chooses to live with intention and dignity. The world needs more people like that. The world needs you unshaken, unapologetic, and unstoppable.